I write as McKenna Dean. I created the pen name in MK Dean to do the cozies, you know, just to separate the genres so people could find me. So my website does still say romance. I've always written romance with mystery elements, and my mysteries have romantic elements. So I'm not sure that I'm a clean genre either way, but that's what I do. I've been writing and working with small publishers for about 10 years now. But in the last few years is when I really decided that my heart was in writing mysteries, and that's what I wanted to do. And so here I am today. I will tell you that I've never done a Zoom presentation before. I had lots of IT help from my husband because that's what he does. So if it looks professional and it sounds like I know what I'm doing, then that's why. And I will also say that I am a pantser, not a plotter. So if I seem to go off script, that's exactly what happened. But we're going to move along here. I'm going to try to keep things moving so that we can, you know, get to all everybody's questions, have a little Q&A at the end. I will tell you that I started with TikTok about 7 months ago. So, you know, I am no guru here. What I'd like to know, though, is what brought you here? What are your assumptions that you have about TikTok? Do you think it's only for a certain age group? Do you think that you have to be an actor, a producer, a videographer? You know, what's holding you back from TikTok, and why did you come to the presentation today? And you can drop if you have a question, drop it in the chat. If we don't get any questions, we'll move along and we'll just come to them at the end, or hopefully I will catch what you've written and we'll try to address that. But I think I will tell you what my assumptions were. I thought, yeah, I don't need another social platform. I really don't. You know, every time a new one comes up, I grab it as a placeholder so that my name will not, you know, I'll have it if I want it. And these places come and go, and a lot of them I never go back to again. My recommendation for social media is pick three platforms that you enjoy, that you like being there, and that you are going to produce steady content for, and forget about the rest. You know, they're going to tell you you have to be XYZ. You be where you want to be. And that is how you're going to get authentic content. And that's how you're going to build your audience. Any questions? I don't see anything in the chat. Okay, so let's move right along then. It's a little placeholder page for me to remind me where I'm going next, because again, I go off script really easily. So why TikTok? I mean, why this platform? Why this platform over, say, Twitter or over Facebook? You know, Facebook is the dinosaur. It's the one that everybody says that you absolutely have to do and be in. And for certain genres, you know, that may be the better place to be. But TikTok has exploded off the charts. In 2021, it was the most downloaded app. Did the pandemic play into this, where people were at home and they were bored and they had nothing to do and they were making little funny videos? Who knows? All I can tell you is that in order to create this presentation, my husband downloaded the app, and in 2 days he was like, I have to take this off my phone because I can't stop watching. And I do think that that's a factor. There is a fascination with these short clip videos, funny trending sounds, you know, funny presentations and material, and it's addictive. You spend a lot of time on TikTok, and it's the 6th most used platform in the world. TikTok users are active on other platforms so they can share your media. The time that you spend creating a TikTok video, you can repurpose this material. I post my stuff to Reels and Stories on Instagram. There are software that you can strip out the TikTok logo, and you can use that on YouTube and so forth. Your biggest problem taking something from TikTok and moving it to something else is licensing for sounds. So there's sometimes you'll get you in trouble, because what you can use on TikTok is not necessarily what you can use on Instagram. but huge following. And every time I turned around, people were saying, well, you need to be on Book Talk. Book Talk is just it. I got on Book Talk and all my books sold, even my old books, even books that nobody was reading for years. So, I did eventually kind of decide I wanted to look into it. So you get hooked. It's fascinating, and it's real easy just to scroll. And if these videos are short, you're engaging people. You can catch their attention in a short amount of time. You can get information to them. You provide entertainment and value, and they want to know more. That's the good part of TikTok. The downside of TikTok is that you spend more time on TikTok. And I will tell you that as much as I have enjoyed the platform, with the learning curve, with the time that I've spent, creating videos, drafting videos, posting videos, commenting on videos, I have definitely seen my productivity take a hit. I also believe that I was in one of my fallow periods anyway when it comes to productivity. So there's got to be balance. Anytime I learn something new, I do tend to be obsessive about it. But that may not be your experience. The tags that people are using on both Book Talk and on TikTok and Twitter are Book Talk, and it's a general. It's Book Talk is for people who want to talk about books, writers, readers, narrators. There's a lot of narrators on Book Talk. It's a great way to connect with other people in the community. An Embarrassment of Itches is going to be turned into an audiobook. I found my narrator on TikTok. We began communicating, and she was like, I really want to do a cozy mystery, check out my portfolio. I did, and we're getting started. It, like any big community, can have a lot of drama. Kind of a little bit like high school sometimes. I don't know if that's just how the population is skewed, or if it's just the fact that when you have people presenting opinions, you're going to have people presenting contrasting opinions. Just keep in mind that, there can be big blow-ups and dust-ups, just as there is in any community. And I frequently say, not my circus, not my monkeys, and move on. But when I came to the idea of, I need another platform and I should be doing this, I will never use TikTok. It will never, ever happen. And I was very resistant to it for a number of reasons. I didn't want my face out there. I have personal reasons for not wanting my face out there, not the least of which is that it could impact my job. But it was just something I didn't want. I have worked very hard to not be a presence on social media, and I felt like it would not be possible to be successful without showing my face. It is harder. It is harder to build an audience, but there are successful TikTok groups, successful creators out there who never show their face. So don't let that stop you. If you're like, nope, time out, I'm not beautiful. I'm not a model. I'm not an actress. I'm not going to be on TikTok. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just have fun if it's your platform. But denial is a very long river in Egypt. So I went completely from it will never happen to, well, maybe I should see what all the fuss is about. I don't have to use it all the time, right? Only every now and then. I don't ever have to show my face. Okay, maybe I'll show my face, but I will never do a live. And for those of you that don't know, once you reach a certain number of followers, then you are able to do a live TikTok. And lives really get you traction, because it's sort of like this right now. I'm interacting with you, but there's an open chat box. and people can drop comments. People can send me hearts and flowers and gift boxes. I don't really understand how that works, but I am communicating with you right now at this moment in time, and your readers can ask you questions about your series. They can ask you when your next book is coming out. They can ask you about the process. You can just talk about books that you love, all in real time. And when you start doing lives, TikTok pushes out more of your material and more people see it, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'm going to try to show you a video here, just as an example of the process that I went through when I first got on TikTok.
TikTok's a joke. I'll make one video. Oh, we got some likes. I'm gonna be TikTok famous tonight.
So that is a brief example of a number of things. Using a trending sound at the time, that was a very popular sound, and so people had fun using that sound. There was also a lot of transitions, and the transitions keep people watching. And I was just having fun. You know, most of the early TikToks that I made, I was just learning how to use the system. I was not trying to follow any sort of formula or build any sort of audience. I was just playing, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So if you have any questions about why TikTok is a good platform, this would be a good time to drop them in the chat. And I'm seeing chat now, and I think maybe I've missed a couple of here. So, all right, looks good. Not seeing anything. If you have questions, though, about why, it's mostly about the fact that huge platform, lots of activity, the potential to go viral. It is skewed towards women. More women are on that platform. So if that's where your readers are, that's excellent. And it's also, you know, where people are talking about books, you know, talking about them in an enthusiastic, exciting way. All righty. So we'll go to our next section here. Let's talk about getting started. And I do have to keep an eye on the time here, make sure that I'm not dawdling. So when you are getting started, you have a choice between doing a business account or a personal account. They used to have a creator account, and that was what everybody who was an artist or a musician or, you know, a book talker, that's what they recommended, you know, do creator. They don't make that as an option any longer. You have to choose business or personal. Business, it's going to be in line with the terms of service. If you're out there promoting books, if you're out there trying to sell something, then you really are supposed to have a business account. Another advantage for having a business account is that you can put a link in your bio right away. Now, you only have a very narrow amount of characters to do that bio, so you have to be clear that you're an author, what genre you write in, and boom, here's my link. I recommend using some sort of expanding link like Linktree, in which, you know, because I've got two pen names, I write two very different genres. I want people to know exactly where to go. I find that that's very useful, and I could do that straight out of the box with a business account. It does limit you in terms of sounds and music. There's certain trending things. There was a Billy Joel thing, and it was getting a lot of traction, and I loved that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make this TikTok, and boom, not for business use. That kind of sucked. So when you do a personal account, you have much, much greater access to the music and the sounds and the trends. But technically, you are not in compliance with their terms of service. And you can switch. I've had people, I actually started with a personal account, read the terms of service and went, ooh, I better change. And I did. If you change, if you decide, you know, I'm going to do one or the other, do it pretty quickly, because once you start training the algorithm, once you start building followers, if you switch to a different type of account, you might find your views getting suppressed for a while. And one thing that I did not mention, and I probably should mention, is TikTok is one of the few places that at this moment in time, you can get a lot of traction without paid advertising. And I'm seeing a jump in sales personally that doesn't have any correlation with paid ads. My ads can be shut off and I'm still getting sales. So that's probably the biggest difference for TikTok and me. When you first start, you're going to watch stuff. You're going to think, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to like it. Oh, that's really interesting. I'm going to favorite it and I'm going to put it in a collection so that I can come back and look at that later. One of my collections is TikTok ideas. Another one of my collections is TikTok tutorials. And then that way I can go, okay, this person is teaching me how to do certain things. I'm going to put that video there so that I can find it again. This person over here made a really cute video. I think that would make a niche related one for me. I'm going to keep that sound. I'm going to keep that idea where I can find it. You can favorite just sounds and create collections that way. But what I will tell you is I also have recipe files and I also have exercise collections, and I get a bunch on, you know, physical health and so forth, because I watched everything when I first started with TikTok. I was like, ooh, that's really interesting. And oh, I'm going to try this. And it was a lot of fun, but it trained TikTok to show me a lot of different material. And so my advice is you either start out of this box very, very niche driven. I am going to look at book material and author related material and reader related material and nothing else. Or you create a personal account, you play with it, you have fun with it, you learn what you want to learn, and then you create your author account. You can have, I think, up to 3 TikTok accounts. And so, you know, playing and learning on a personal account is one way of finding the people that you want to follow. And then you can kind of go, oh, I'm going to make sure I remember that when I create my BookTok account. So if one of the things that's come up recently on BookTok, on the community, is that there are a lot of writers talking about the writing process. And there are readers that are just readers who are saying, yeah, you know, we're really not that interested in that. And writers are readers, absolutely. And it sometimes it's hard when we get involved not to, you know, it was like, oh, I can really understand that writing problem really well. I'm going to follow this person because, you know, she's giving good writing advice. But that's not necessarily the people that are going to hook your readers. So think about who you are reaching out for and who you're training your TikTok to send your videos to as well. You want to consider who you want to follow and what material that you want to put out there. And I will tell you just briefly while I'm thinking about it, you're going to get a lot of bots. You're going to get a lot of spammers. You can learn to identify them. Bots are usually going to have 2 first names as a name. So it's going to be like, you know, Bob Jacob or, you know, Martha Ann. Or it's going to be user with a ton of numbers. Sometimes as you go through the people that are following you, you will see that their profile is grayed out and it will just say TikToker underneath of them. They've already been removed. Get rid of your bots, get rid of your spam accounts if you can identify them, because TikTok promotes your videos to your followers first. And if you're not getting engagement because you have a lot of spammy people following you, then it won't go much further. So you want to make sure that you keep paring down your audience to the fact that it's people that you want. And yet you get certain benefits when you reach 1,000 followers, when you reach 3,000 followers. So it's a balance. I don't purge too often, but I do purge. If you're looking to train the algorithm to find readers, then I would not niche too tightly within BookTok, because, you know, people, they read mystery, they read sci-fi, they read paranormal romance, they read historical regencies. You don't necessarily want to just do one thing, but there are genre specific hashtags. You should be using them, you know, just kind of like any other thing, like Instagram or, you know, what have you. So any questions about getting started? We've got one of the about algorithms. Every time the algorithm changes, it alters. Yes, this is definitely true. And I do think that every time that I think I know what I'm doing, we get an update and everything changes. And I will tell you that I had a freak out about 24 hours ago because none of my videos were getting any views at all, absolutely zero. But I'll tell you more about that later. The first book that I put on TikTok and what was my reader reaction, I didn't put a book on it first. I did lip syncing and silly trends and funny memes. And I did try, you know, I did try to make it book related because I was promoting cozy mysteries. You know, I did things, you know, where I was pretending, you know, here's a favorite one. I pretend that a woman comes and knocks on my door and she's, you know, she says, I've been trying to get your husband on the phone and I can't get him. And I go, oh, well, he's down in the garden. And the pretend person at the door says, oh, well, should I go down there and get him? And I'm like, only if you bring a shovel. Again, implying that I murdered my husband, which I would not do because he's awesome. But I will talk if you're further on down, not get off track. There are certain words you can't say on TikTok. That'll get you in trouble. So you have to watch that. What else do we have? Okay, I think that's it. So we're going to keep rolling and making videos. And now we're going to talk about how not to get banned, how to get banned. There are a whole slew of words and a whole slew of images and suggestions. You know, you can't talk about suicide. You can't talk about human body parts in any great detail. You cannot talk about weapons or killing people. If you are using a knife on TikTok, you better be chopping vegetables, because I did get a community violations notice for a video that I made where I sort of kind of implied that I killed somebody, not in holding a knife in a threatening manner, just kind of like cleaning my nails, but they ticked me, they binged me for that. And yet I have seen people, you know, pulling out swords and, you know, doing all kinds of historical medieval costume things, and they don't get banned. So just pay attention and learn what the conventions are. Right now, it's very popular for romance authors to use emojis to refer to certain body parts and spicy stories. So the eggplant is very popular, and the peach emoji to refer to a nice ass is very popular. Basically, TikTok is PG. It's not even PG-13. And so if you're talking about mystery books, you don't say this person was murdered or this person was killed. You say this person was unalived. And even in your captions, even in your text, if you're going to put murder in there, you want to misspell it. You just have to be kind of careful. TikTok has a pretty tight censor, you know, control. So, and there are groups that can tell you, you know, what words got them banned. You get 3 community violations and then boom, your account is shut. Got to be a little careful. Pets are a big deal. Yes, pets are a big deal. I do find it interesting that if one of my cats wanders around behind me while I'm making a video, that video usually gets more views.
Yes.
I don't necessarily use them as props, but sometimes I do.
Okay.
And okay, and then one of our writers says she gets more likes when she posts. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I will, and I'll talk about some of the kinds of posts that I've done, but I will frequently have the camera focused on my dog and then bring my book up that has a dog on the cover and then open it and start the rest of my video. You want that hook. You want something that's going to catch the eye and make people go, oh. All right. So what makes a successful TikTok? And the reason why this image is up here is, you know, this guy's video right here, 134.4 million views. Okay. I had no idea who he is. Apparently his thing is that he reacts to other people's videos, and it's his reaction that's amusing and funny, and it's usually, you know, he's reacting to, you know, something he thinks is outrageous or just ridiculous, and he's got a huge following based just on that. I think that it's nice to have some sort of gimmick that you're known for. I know a romance author. She's known for her lipstick. She is always going to wear fabulous lipstick. She gives them away as gifts and giveaways, and that's her thing. When you see that woman on that screen with that lipstick, you instantly know who she is. So let me go to the next one. How do you do that? How do you get there? Nobody likes to hear this. You need to post, especially when you're starting out, between 1 and 3 times a day. And when I heard that, I put the brakes on. No way, not going to happen. Don't have time. This isn't going to do it. This is not for me. And it's not as hard as you think it is. What I do is I take 1 or 2 afternoons a week, depending on my mood, because I think it's fun making videos. And so sometimes I do this when I should be doing other things, but I'll batch them. I'll make 10 or 20 drafts, and then a different afternoon, I'll add the sounds and the music and the hashtags. And then I've got, you know, a week, maybe 2 weeks of material that I can drop. One video, you know, a couple times a day. People will tell you, oh, it's really important to be consistent, post the same time every day. Other people will say, oh, only post in the evening. This is a worldwide app. There are people watching this any time of the day or night. So I wouldn't get excited about, you know, not getting the views because you're not posting at exactly the right time. What's most important is that you post, and you post regularly, and you don't, you know, leave people just forgetting that you exist. I also think it's important that you learn how to trim your videos. I will frequently do a video in sections. I will do 2 or 3 sections, and then as I'm finishing one section, I sit back, I pause for a minute, I'm reaching for the microphone to turn it off. When I put all these videos together, I'm going to trim out those long pauses. I'm going to trim out, you know, big mistakes if I can. Little mistakes, don't worry about it. It makes you more authentic. But you want that first frame to catch people's attention. So, you know, me sitting here, yabber, 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 like I'm doing right now, that's not going to cut it. I frequently will start out very close to the camera and then move back, or the reverse, you know, you changing an angle, doing lots of transitions. That was one video that I saw highly recommended. Do, you know, say your 3-minute piece if you want it to be 3 minutes, but make lots of transitions so that people aren't doing what they're doing right now. They're staring at me going, can I pick up my phone and look at something else while she's talking in the background? You got to catch their attention. So movement is a really great thing for that. I posted a couple of videos recently where I had the camera watching my feet move as I was walking, and then I stopped that and flipped it up and then went, you know, to a conversation. Mix up the length. Short videos are definitely going to do you better at first because they're going to get watched all the way through. How hard is it to watch a 15-second video? Not that hard. 2 minutes gets a lot harder. If your content is engaging and if people are used to watching you for your content, then you will be able to engage them with longer material. Use trending sounds, use your own voice, mix it up. Don't make it always the same. Now, there's a couple of Facebook groups. I know this sounds really weird. Why would you go to Facebook to you know, learn about TikTok? But I really like TikTok for Authors on Facebook. And I will get back to that. Yes, thank you. I will get back to that. The TikTok for Authors is just a nice, help, I don't know what I'm doing, can you help me with this and give me more information. That was a nice starter group for me. There is a course that I took that I was very pleased with, and I would recommend. It's called TikTok Sells Books. And what I really liked about the people who run this group is that they take you through all of the different kinds of content that authors can be producing, and how they'll critique here's your assignment. I want you to make this kind of video. Here are the things that you need to do. Use this trending sound. And then as a group, they will critique say, okay, you got this right, but you should think about this. Well, if you put all of your video down here in this bottom corner, then your hashtags and TikTok's information is going to cover it up. So let's go back. Gets more likes with cats. Program to trim videos. There's two ways. TikTok itself, I film mostly on TikTok. I will tell you why. Because I don't want to put on makeup every time I get on TikTok. I don't want to, I have 1,000 wigs. That seems to be my thing. I wear a lot of wigs. I wear a lot of crazy wigs. But it's really easy for me to put on a filter and then I'm gorgeous. And I don't have to worry about, what I really look like. And so I will film clips on the TikTok, and then you have the option of adjusting those clips on the sidebar, and you can cut them, you can, restitch them and so forth. There is also an app called CapCut, and CapCut allows you to upload videos to CapCut, and then you can add the sound effects and what have you. In many ways, it has more features and can be more professional looking than TikTok itself. But you add the text, you add the music, you add the stickers and the special features. One of the things that I like to do for my own TikToks is I'll do my little spiel, and then I'll have a sticker that is a screenshot of my book pop up in the corner. And then I have my book, my name, I have everything. And for, 2.5 seconds, people get that, ooh, that's an embarrassment of itches. Maybe I should check that out. So you do have a lot of options. Okay, and so I mostly film. If I'm going to film something, I film it on my phone. I find that that's much easier. This is an app. It does have desktop applications. There are a few things that they need you to do on the desktop, but golly Moses, 99% of it works better on the app. So if I do a really cute, funny video of my dog and I want to pair it with something else, I will film it, on the camera on the phone, and I can upload those videos. One of my favorite things that I did recently was a really catchy sound. You do a short video and 15 still photographs, and the app actually matches the transitions to the beats of the song, and I love it. It's a video of my dog being a happy little dog, and then boom, 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 all my favorite pictures of him. TikTok can do that for you. I also will sometimes make videos on Canva, and I will use the Canva app. Like if I want to use specific photographs, especially if you're doing aesthetics, especially if you're doing pretty things, do it on Canva. And then Canva allows you to download it directly to TikTok. Yay. Okay. Sometimes I use BookBrush, and then I have to upload it to Canva, and then I have to upload it to TikTok from Canva. But you can't do it directly from the desktop on Canva. You need the phone app. So most of everything these days is working towards phones. All right. These are a couple people that I think are really examples of creators that you should think about following. The Mothership is one of the nicest people in the world, and she, I believe, used to work in the movie industry, or it certainly, has a lot of technical experience with doing editing and adding music and so forth. And she does these lovely tutorials. This is how you make a stop action, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And the little clay animation, that wasn't done with digital. That was stop motion and animation. She can show you how to do that. She can show you how to do all the cool transitions. Just great person to follow. You really will learn a lot from her. She's got a huge body of work. At the Mothership is her TikTok handle, and I highly recommend it for how to make things, not necessarily how to make book talk things, but just how to make things, how to put up a green screen and look like you're on the Starship Enterprise, how to put up how to use filters. There's a great one where you put up your hand and you move it towards the camera, and whatever you want on your hand shows up. It can be your book cover. It can be something else. So it's great how to creator content. Now, Miss Carolyn Flett is an example of one of the many, 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 many people out there that are like, follow me and I will show you how to create, a huge following. What I like about these accounts, and I'm not necessarily promoting one over the other, but what I like about them is that she will come on and say, hey, this sound is trending. It's great for, small creators. It's catching on really fast. Here are a couple of tips to make it applicable to your niche. Grab the sound, go to it, do it right now. I think that those are very useful. I would miss out on some fun trending sounds if I didn't have something like that. Do I sometimes click on the trending sound and go, oh, shoot, that's only for personal accounts? Yes, but most of the time, no. Most of the time I can use them. Okay. I included this last image down here where I grew my TikTok to 350K and I sold 30K plus books, and here's how. And this is the TikTok account. Join the Poetry Club. I will tell you that there are a number of people who've become insanely successful on TikTok. Insanely successful. I think it's a little like the lottery. Some people do win the lottery, and that's what we're all hoping when we try a new platform and we keep pushing and marketing and building and crafting. We want our books to catch fire. We want people to read them. I don't think it's going to happen to everybody, but I do think it's worthwhile looking at some of these accounts and seeing what people did. And there's some very useful information, and I had to add some extra notes here. Because recently, this came up in the last couple of days, there is a TikTok accounter who is saying that TikTok is now pushing, the algorithm is pushing SEO over anything else. And so she's like, have the word author in all of your usernames, make sure your genre is in your bio, research the questions that your authors, your readers would be asking, and then create content to answer that, which I think is appropriate under any circumstances. Is she selling a course? Yes. Would you benefit from having one-on-one hand-holding while you're learning how to do this? Yes. And if you've got the money to do it, look into these courses. I found the TikTok Sells Books to be tremendously helpful. So then another Author Talk Jen was her name. It's not her personal account. It's a book talk account. She said she got 17K followers in 1 week, and she talks about using, this is how she did it. She did an attraction post, and what she calls an attraction post is, what do you want to do to reach your readers? What is your ideal reader? What are their hobbies? What are they interested in? How can you make something relatable to them? Is your book, does it have a bad breakup in it? You can start out with, man, have you ever had a bad breakup? What are you going through? That's your attraction. She replies to every comment. She saves the top comments and she creates a video reply. And there's an option where you can create a video to a comment. And then you've got another video that you've created with that comment up in the top where you're addressing that. She also recommends using trending sounds, as of course everybody else does. All right. Oh, golly, we're running out of time because I've been talking. So let's talk about the kinds of videos that that you should be doing for book talk. Okay. These are examples of the different kinds. I will confess that I picked a lot of my own to show, not because I'm trying to be, oh, look at me, but because I knew how to find them quickly and I was trying to throw this presentation together. So I might not end up showing all of them to you, but I will show you as many as I can. One is doing an aesthetic and using a combination of video and static images. This first one that I'm going to show you also uses the page flip concept, but I will go into that in just a little bit. Got to get rid of that one. That's the wrong one. Oh, we saw that one. Yes. All right. So here we go. So quick example of an aesthetic, you know, pounding music, interesting music, you know, something to pull the reader in. If those images appeal to her, then, you know, appeal to the reader, then she's going to grab it up. The next thing on our list is character impersonation. And the first couple of times I tried this, I didn't get it quite right because I didn't quite understand the nature of the character impersonation. Basically, they want you to come on and pretend that you are the character and that you're talking like these things really happened to you, so that the reader gets sucked in and they're like, oh no, honey, what is going on? And then they kind of go, oh, you know what? This isn't real. This is a book. So here's an example.
10 years ago, I lost everything. My family, my life. But I finally get a fresh start in the witness protection program. There's just one problem. My childhood crush lives down the hall from me, which is great because I still like him, but if he recognizes me, he could ruin everything. And I don't just mean my fresh start. He could get us both killed.
So that's a perfect example of a character impersonation that's going to suck somebody in. They want to know what happened, and even if at the end there's a gotcha with it's just a book, you're still like, oh, but it's a book I want to read now. I also really recommend having a little thing that's your thing. I personally have I do Cozy Mystery Hotline, and I pretend to be a hotline operator answering questions from characters in Cozy Mysteries that are having trouble. I also do the Cozy Mystery Cafe, where a reader comes in and they want to order, you know, a certain kind of menu, a certain kind of book, and I can tell them, well, the blue plate special today is, you know, small town girl inherits her granny's bookstore, and, you know, that comes with a side order of law enforcement, love interest, that kind of thing. Do you just have something that you're known for? This is a great short little video. Dawn Dougal is a romance author, and she one of her things is her conversations with her search engine. So here we go.
Why is this so hard?
That's what he said.
Not funny.
Okay, I'll bite. What's so hard?
Finding the perfect guy. Tall, dark hair, smolders, loves to cook, has a walk-in shower.
Anything else?
Sturdy countertops.
Well, there is one place you could get that guy.
And get him delivered?
You bet.
I'm listening.
Start with these. Delivered through Kindle Unlimited. Instantly.
Okay. Now, I should point out in that video, she did have a little sticker that said link in bio, and you can do things like that, but you do not actually want to say link in bio, because if you say that, TikTok will shut your video down and suppress your views. Again, it's one of those things they don't want you to say. They don't want people to go to your link and leave TikTok. So, all right. Now, the next one is something that I enjoy doing personally. It's not for everybody, but I get lots of wigs and costumes, and I do lip syncing. And this is one that I felt was related to the mystery niche. And so here we go.
Do you know why I pulled you over? Because of the body in the trunk? You were speed. What? What? Do you know why I pulled you over? Because of the body in the trunk? You were speed. What? What?
Okay. Let's see. Ooh, what do we got here? Can we scroll down a little bit? Okay, trending sounds. I'm going to skip that. Everybody knows what they are. There was a Kim Kardashian trending sound recently that everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. Real easy to use. Don't worry about it. The next one, asking questions of your audience, and a page flip. You know, so it's always great to ask your audience questions. I'm like, what are you, it's my husband's birthday and he likes this genre. What would you suggest that I get him? Or, I am really tired of reading, XYZ. I would really like to know more about, ABC. Get your audience to talk to you. Get them to tell you about their favorite stories. The page flip option is a very, very, very common, easy, it's an easy starter video. You basically hold your book up, open it up, flip it, and then you put text. You can put quotes, you can put tropes, you can put, any sort of teaser in there. I personally find them not all that interesting, but for some people, they do extraordinarily well, and there's not a lot of time investment, and you don't have to show your face.
10, you're selfish. 9, you're jaded. 8, the dumbest guy I've dated. 7's like a big game till you're naked. Only 6 seconds and I had to fake it. 5, you're toxic. 4, can't trust you. 3, you still got mommy issues. 2 years of your bullshit, I can't
Now, you will notice that there was some language in that video, in the music. TikTok allowed it, but I chose to misspell castration and euthanasia because I wasn't sure that was going to get through their censors. So the hashtags really depend. I'm sorry, I'm over here looking. The hashtags really depend on what you want, your audience to be. If you're looking for writers and you do writers of TikTok and authors of TikTok and indie author and what have you, you're going to get it pushed out to that content. I will do book talk, and then I will do cozy mystery series. I created the Jenny mystery series tag for my books. Then I do some big ones. Cozy mystery is a huge following. Well, that makes it so not everybody's going to see it. So I add some smaller ones in there. You can find ones that, only maybe have, 10,000 people that are following it. Just make sure that you pair it with some of the bigger ones too. You want people to see your stuff. You want people to engage with it, and then TikTok will push it out to more people. So when I was talking about the 3 things that made for a magic TikTok, made for a successful TikTok, my husband said, sex, humor, and cats, right? And I got to tell you, he's not far off. I mean, this is why we included this slide, because think about the videos that people stop and watch. It's usually something along these lines. But if we were being more book talk specific, we would go to these 3 things: hook, provide value, call to action. The hook is the thing that's going to make them stop and look. It's I saw one the other day that I thought was absolutely charming, where the woman says, okay, this is a fairy tale, but it doesn't have a happy ending. And she went on to describe her book as though it was a fairy tale, even though it really wasn't. But it was a hook. It made me stop and listen for more. The next thing is you got to provide value. Value can be anything. It can be entertainment. It can be information. It can be education. But you have to provide a reason why people want to continue to watch it. And some people, you know, they do these gorgeous transitions. That's not my thing, you know. Some people do these amazing dances. That is not my thing either. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You just have to provide value with your content. The last thing is call to action. It's one of the things that I really fall down on the most. You can do a follow more for information. You can do a this, you can do a that, you know, like the stickers that say these things without actually saying these things. But I will tell you that I tend not to do that very often. Sometimes though, when I get to the end of my video, and especially if I'm recording it myself, you know, I'll be like, you know, what's the best line that you ever read and whatever, what's the most memorable character? Who is the character of mine that you think should get his own story? That's a call to action. Call to actions don't have to be buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. All right, making sure that I'm not missing everybody in the chat over there. And yay, I'm done, and I'm almost done on time. So if there are any questions, hit me up with them now. Drop them in the chat.
So I think that you did a great job of monitoring your chat. I'm gonna pop back on just so I'm not the disembodied voice from beyond. The only thing and I might have missed this when I ran to the kitchen to put the bread in the oven, but Glenda had asked what you use to shoot your videos. Do you just use your cell phone? Do you have a video recording camera?
So if I am recording a video not on the TikTok app, I have, it's ridiculous the equipment I have. I have a light stand that can hold my phone. Okay. I also have tripods. I have all kinds of stuff, and I will record on my phone, and then I can upload multiple videos. Sure. Yeah, thank you. I can upload multiple videos, and they can be stitched together. That's one way. You don't get to use the filters, and you don't get to use certain things. So I really like the filters because they make me look gorgeous and much younger than I actually do. And so I tend not to upload raw video footage because it's much harder to adapt that raw footage. I film a lot on TikTok, and TikTok itself has an editing, editing options that aren't bad. There is a software program for your phone called CapCut that you can upload videos, and then you can do editing and adjusting on those videos. And some of the features, some of the texting, and the effects is much more professional looking than you can get on TikTok. So it just kind of depends on where your comfort zone is. I also upload straight raw footage, and then, like the book flips. I'm not in the book flips. I'll videotape the book flip first, and then I'll upload that to TikTok, add the text, add the music, do any trimming, if my cat sits down and starts to lick his butt or something like that.
McKenna, how about copyright issues?
So,
well, about that? I mean, does TikTok care about it?
So yes, they do. So if you have a business account and you want to use a certain sound, it will pop up and go, oh no, honey, you're not allowed to use that sound. You can use these sounds. And a lot of times those sounds are really kind of boring. One of the things that I do as I watch videos that I think are interesting, if I like the sound, I will click on it and I will see if it's an original sound or not. So a lot of creators get around the copyright thing by creating an original sound. And I'll give you a perfect example. There's this one that's very popular right now where it's Jimmy Buffett singing Margaritaville. But the key change goes into the theme song of Law and Order. Okay. So the transition is the first person is like, I'm doing blah, 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 blah. And the second person listens and goes, oh, that's kind of hinky. And it's, you get the Law and Order sound. Because those two sounds are blended, even though the individual ones are copyrighted, that's kind of how some creators get away with this. Every now and then, a sound that I have favorited gets pulled. I'll go to make something. I'm like, oh no, that sound's not available anymore. A couple of times I've looked at old videos and it's been muted. I don't have sound anymore because somebody pulled it for whatever reason. You can also, the creators can post a video and they can leave an option to duet or stitch with that video. So if somebody does a video and has the duet option on, then you can duet with their video. You'll appear side by side with their video, and then you can react to it. And these blind reactions to stuff can be hysterical or they can be upsetting. It just depends on what the situation is. But so there's a lot of different ways that I did not even begin to scratch the surface of recording and using material. Most people are going to use the TikTok app, or they're going to upload something to something like CapCut, and then they are going to put CapCut up. I do sometimes create videos on Canva or BookBrush. I'll load them to Canva and then I'll put them through the Canva phone app onto TikTok. I will tell you that in general, they don't get the kind of views. People want more dynamic material on TikTok. What you can do is repurpose some of your TikTok stuff. If it's short enough, if it's 15 seconds, I can make it a story on Instagram. Sometimes Instagram gets squiffy because they're like, we don't have the right to have that music. Sometimes Instagram has awesome music that TikTok doesn't have. So, I will frequently take a short video that I've made a TikTok for. I go to put it on Instagram. It won't work. I take the raw video and put it back up again and, edit it and put new text, new information on it. And I can repurpose that and get, 4,000 or 5,000 views on a reel of a bee with pollen going from one flower to another.
That's awesome.
Don't ask me why.
We should have you back to do the tutorial on the Crunchy Bits. Like, here's how you download it. Here's the buttons that you push.
Oh, yeah, you might.
So nobody go away yet, except our viewers in Facebook land. I think I want to say thank you to McKenna. We're going to continue here in Zoomville, but I'm going to stop the live feed to Facebook now. I have dropped the same links in the chat here in Zoom that I have actually added to the Facebook chat.
Oh, excellent.
So, some things that you have mentioned during the presentation, the link to your webpage, the link to MWA NorCal. So I'm going to stop that.